the topic of an hour. Could AI replace CA?
Okay.
Right, chartered accountant. So
Okay.
we want to talk about that.
ठीक है.
And मुझे ये जानना है, and I know for a fact कि हमें वो bubble burst करना है because
Correct.
everybody is really scared.
True.
And to the viewers who are viewing this, we really want to make sure कि you know AI एक ऐसी चीज़ है जिसके साथ चलना है, जिससे डरना नहीं है, और CAs right वो कैसे AI को like AI से enable हो रहे हैं.
Correct.
rather than getting replaced by AI.
Okay.
So if you can throw some light on that.
Sure. Can AI replace CA? So I think I'll start from something. All of them are replaceable, and at the same time, nobody is irreplaceable. Way back when computers came in, possibly a lot of things. Let's start with, since it's about CA, books of accounts, making balance sheets, making accounts was all manual, right? People, or even chartered accountants, or every accountants, or every company would write by a pen and a paper in those entire registers, make accounts, maybe take like 1 month to tally and everything. Where we look at financial year in India is April to March. Computers came in, and all of those systems came in, softwares came in, and all of those started become digitized. Today, the moment 31st March, we finish the entry, and we can get the accounts next day or on the 31st March after 12, right? Typically, or maybe on the 1st April. Did anybody replace anyone?
We are back with the bang. Welcome back to the Last Laugh podcast. आज हमने एक स्पेशल गेस्ट को इनवाइट किया है, CA हृदयेश पंखानिया सर. CA हृदयेश ने 50,000 से भी ज्यादा CA एस्पिरेंट्स को एक हौसला दिया है. He is the youngest statutory auditor of a PSU bank, and he has a decade years of experience in all types of banks. And the best part, he is the regional council member of ICAI. हमने ये पॉडकास्ट पे 3 चीजों पे बात की है. पहला, how can CAs leverage content creation and acquire more clients? दूसरा, CAs के करिकुलम और सिलेबस में क्या बदलाव आया है? और तीसरा, क्या CAs AI से रिप्लेस होंगे? ये बहुत ही ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट टॉपिक्स है फॉर ऑल द CA एस्पिरेंट्स एंड ऑल द पीपल हु आर बिल्डिंग देयर करियर इन फाइनेंस. सो आई होप आपको ये शो पसंद आए, एंड आई एम वेरी श्योर कि आप CA हृदयेश पंखानिया से बहुत ही ज्यादा मोटिवेट होंगे. बट बिफोर यू गो एंड हेड ऑन टू द शो, मेरी एक हम्बल रिक्वेस्ट है. हम यहाँ पे बहुत सारे इंपॉर्टेंट गेस्ट और बहुत ही ज्यादा इन्फ्लुएंशियल गेस्ट को लाते हैं, एंड टू मेक श्योर कि मैं और ज्यादा कंटेंट और नॉलेज आपके साथ शेयर कर पाऊं, आई वुड रिक्वेस्ट कि आप सभी जो भी मेरा पॉडकास्ट देख रहे हैं, टू हिट द सब्सक्राइब बटन राइट नाउ. इट विल रियल बी हेल्पफुल फॉर मी टू ग्रो दिस चैनल. सो लेट्स स्टार्ट द शो. It is really amazing to meet you. I have met you before, but today I am very sure it is going to be a great value add. सबको पता चलेगा आज के CA हृदयेश पंखानिया सर कौन है. And I would really want to know, like, you have a great fan following in the CA community. So आज मुझे आपकी पूरी जर्नी जाननी है. आपने कैसे start किया, being a LLB, being a CA, now event manager. You are everywhere. So I really want to know your story and how you started. So we can start with that.
No, I think story बहुत ही common है. It's like any other person. I didn't have any specific journey. I think मैं चीज़ें करता गया और चीज़ें होती गई. शुरुआत में of course when it was school and college, it was always कि co-curricular activities करनी है पढ़ाई के साथ, सिर्फ पढ़ाई नहीं करनी है. I think that was an edge to always do. So right since schooling time, along with studies, I was always there in every co-curricular activities that was possible, right in terms of participating competitions या तो organizing चीज़ें. तो I think वो जो था ना वहाँ पे वो एक edge बनते गया. So school हुआ, college हुआ, फिर CA ख़त्म हो गया. So the moment CA हो गया, job लग गया, I started my job, my first job with the campus. I got in at Deutsche Bank, so in financial markets, supporting for US. So I think I realized that the moment I became a professional, finished my studies and education, कहीं प्लेस ऐसा नहीं था जहाँ मैं co-curricular activities ज़्यादा कर सकूँ. जो ऑफिस में ऑफिस में थोड़ा बहुत इवेंट्स वगैरह होता था, मैं पार्टिसिपेट कर लेता था, वो एनुअल डे एंड एवरीथिंग. सो मैंने कहा इट वोंट वर्क, आई नीड टू डू इट, अदरवाइज माई लाइफ वुड बी ब्लैंक.
Right.
because weekends were off and weekday also I would have time. तो then मैंने पढ़ाना शुरू कर दिया, टीचिंग शुरू करा. टीचिंग के साथ आई स्टार्टेड डूइंग ट्रेनिंग्स. सो along with financial subjects, मेरा core co-curricular में हमेशा elocutions, essays, content था always, you know, at that time. So I started training in terms of, you know, public speaking, communication, personality development, वो सारे topics cover करने लगे. फिर of course थोड़ा और समय आगे गया because speaking हमेशा से था stage पे. तो I think friends की शादियाँ होने लगी. तो I started anchoring in friends' wedding, choreographing that. So that entire thing got automatically developed in terms of event management. So I think that journey has always been कि हम चीज़ें करते जाओ तो चीज़ें automatically होते रहेगी is what I've always believed.
Wow, great. So see, there are like list of achievements which you have. When I was reading your brief also, कि इतने सारे achievements है जो countable भी नहीं है. But I really want to ask you one thing very clearly, like because I saw that you are a regional council member of ICAI,
Correct.
and that is for Western region, right? So want to know what exactly the role is.
Correct.
आप करते क्या हो as a regional council member and responsibilities क्या होती है towards the
Okay.
duties?
So I'll tell you. So ICI basically, Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, ये body बनाया गया है under an act of parliament for, of course, regulating the entire CA course or managing the entire chartered accountancy. So typically, along with के staffs होते हैं already जो paid staff है in institute पूरे में across India, but elections होते हैं जिससे council members आते हैं and only a chartered accountant go under an election.
Okay.
So the entire ICI has been categorized in departmentalize region wise, so that एक जैसे हमारा I would say ICIL compare with India. ठीक है, इंडिया में जैसे हमारे पास members of parliament होते हैं and all the members of parliament will choose a prime minister across it India. फिर state wise हमारे पास MLA होते हैं, the MLAs choose a chief minister.
Okay.
It's exactly same in ICI. There are something like central council members elected at, you know, India level and they will choose a president. Instead of having every state, there are regions. So 5 regions में पूरे इंडिया को डिवाइड करके 3-4 states बन के एक region बन रहा है. So western region में महाराष्ट्र, गुजरात एंड गोवा 3 states आते हैं जहाँ से maximum CAs भी है across India में.
Wow.
So I am an elected member as a regional council member for this entire western region of महाराष्ट्र, गुजरात, गोवा. So typically duties ये होती है जो सारे events होते हैं, सारे administration wise चीज़ें होते हैं, we have to oversee and we have to manage that.
Okay.
So there will always be a staff who's to execute, but to guide them, to bring newness to CA students and CA members.
Okay.
कि अगर कोई नई चीज़ आ रही है government से which will affect CA in terms of positive or negative anything, or maybe an opportunity getting created, how do you make members aware?
Got it.
तो वो काम हमारा हो जाता है. तो उसके रिलेटेड के इवेंट्स और एनी पब्लिकेशंस guiding CA students through the course entire becomes our responsibility. We just had one conference yesterday for CA students at Meera Bhayandar. We're coming up one more, in fact, CA students and members conference on this 15th and 16th of December, which is at NESCO Center.
Got it.
And we're approximately projecting we're going to have 5,000 plus people in that entire NESCO Center, which are going to be CA students and CA members.
Wow, that's amazing. So you said that it is elected member, right?
Correct.
So like, is it like a real election which happens and all the CA from Goa, Maharashtra, they basically vote you?
So absolutely the way normal general election happens, this election happens, you know, in a similar manner. So generally ICA elections happen once in 3 years.
Got it.
However, एक बार आप इलेक्शन जैसे यू नो जनरल इलेक्शंस 5 years के टर्म में होते हैं, ये 3 साल के टर्म में होते हैं.
अच्छा.
लेकिन यहाँ पे जो पोजीशंस होती है, जैसे कोई चेयरमैन बन रहा है, कोई प्रेसिडेंट बन रहा है, वो सारी पोजीशन ईयरली होती है.
Okay.
तो ईयरली हमारे बीच में अंदर इलेक्शंस होके you know somebody gets a position, but overall for outside CA members it happens once in 3 years. So last election happened in December 2021 where every chartered accountant can vote.
Got it.
So for western region, of course, as I rightly said, Maharashtra, Gujarat, Goa CAs could vote for these elected, you know, who people who are standing. So the entire western region council is of 21 people.
Exactly.
So there are 45 candidates, out of which the 21 won. However, in institute एक specific होती है, along with general elections जैसे नहीं होता है. There is a preferential elections.
Okay.
So you give preference. जैसे you know मैं इन 45 में से 5 लोगों को वोट देना चाहता हूँ, तो मैं 1 2 3 4 5 प्रेफरेंस मार्क करता हूँ. तो पहले मेरा वोट फर्स्ट वाले को तरफ जाएगा. वो फर्स्ट वाला अगर विन नहीं करता है, तो ऑफ कोर्स मेरा सेकंड प्रेफरेंस क्योंकि सेकंड वाला था, तो वोट सेकंड को शिफ्ट हो जाता है. देयर इज अ प्रेफरेंशियल इलेक्शंस इन आईसीआई.
Okay. And I mean, I believe कि आपने ये अचीव किया है on the point that obviously, you know, your achievements are great, but I think you're a great human. And this is where the next question is, कितना important है to build your personality in such a way that everybody is accepting you around, and you build a rapport with everybody and make sure that whatever you want to achieve,
True.
it helps you to achieve that. So it's
Correct.
personal branding, I believe.
True.
So wanted to know, like, how did you achieve that particular thing?
No, I think for me it has always been so in trainings we always have this WIFM as a concept. What
Right.
is in it for me?
Right.
कि मैं कभी भी कुछ करूँ तो मेरे लिए क्या है? I think a real human is going to be to look at what is in it for them. So any relationship, any personal branding, when we talk, अगर हम brand कोई build भी कर रहे हैं, अगर सिर्फ हम ये देखने वाले कि इसमें मुझे क्या मिलने वाला है, it cannot go for real long.
True.
Unless you start seeing कि what is in it for the opposite party, it starts going further. Same, I think, my view, for personal branding also, the moment मैं सिर्फ ये देखने वाला हूँ कि इससे मुझे क्या मिलने वाला है, तो फिर चीज़ें दूर तक नहीं जाएगी. द मोमेंट आई थिंक कि मुझे मेरे ऑडियंस को सर्व करना है, आई थिंक इट गोज लिटिल लॉन्गर वे एज कम्पेयर टू अदर्स, एंड दैट इज वाई इन माई जर्नी आई ऑलवेज थॉट पॉसिबली व्हेन आई स्टार्टेड ट्रेनिंग मेंटोरिंग फॉर स्टूडेंट्स ऑल्सो कि हाउ आई कैन गिव द बेस्ट टू देम सो दैट दे कुड टेक बैक एटलीस्ट वन लर्निंग एंड मे बी स्प्रेड इट possibly to the others as well. I think that is something going to be important.
But do you have any strategy? Because like usually when I train people into, when I mentor them into sales or anything else, we have a strategy to build a rapport, right?
Correct.
So do you have any, I will not say strategy as such, but आपका एक aura रहेगा, right? और आप easily लोगों से bond बहुत easily कर लेते हो. So मुझे वो जानना है कि कैसे आपका start होता है, and then what exactly and how much time it takes to build a rapport. Let's say I'm meeting you for the first time.
Correct.
So I want to understand that, how much time you will take to make sure that you have a great bond with me.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I think difficult question, but there's no perfect strategy, to be very frank. Why? Because we're dealing with humans, and the moment opposite party, every human is going to be different. So in the starting, it is very essential कि आप समझो कि सामने वाले की need क्या है, requirement क्या है. So because you also do trainings, different topics, you talk about AI and everything. So I think जब हम जाते हैं किसी क्लास में मे बी ट्रेनिंग करने, सो फर्स्ट थिंग इज ऑलवेज कि हम ऑडियंस समझने की कोशिश करते हैं कि ये ऑडियंस किस प्रकार की है और कहाँ पे है, राइट? आई थिंक एट एवरी स्टेट, एवरी सिटी, एन ऑडियंस इज गोइंग टू बी डिफरेंट. सो आई थिंक नोइंग द पल्स ऑफ द ऑडियंस इज गोइंग टू बी मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट एज पर मी. सो मैं हमेशा कोशिश करता हूँ कि पहले एक वो पल्स जानूँ, मे बी कीपिंग वेरी लाइट कॉन्वर्जेशन एट द स्टार्ट एंड देन स्टार्ट डूइंग थिंग्स. ऑल्सो आई थिंक वन वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट इज how well do you connect to the audience by getting to their level.
True.
So very essentially आप वो चीज़ें बात करो जो उन्हें प्रभावित करती है. It is always going to be there. Let's say if I have a 2-hour session, right? तो एक टॉपिक अगर है वो मुझे बोलना है, बट इट इज़ वेरी एसेंशियल कि स्टार्टिंग के 5-10 मिनट्स में वो चीज़ें बात करूँ जो उस ऑडियंस को पसंद आने वाली है, सो दैट ऑडियंस इज गेटिंग अट्रैक्टेड. इट्स एग्जैक्टली द वे इन टर्म्स ऑफ कंटेंट वी डू. या एक बच्चे को आई थिंक एक 6 महीने के बच्चे को अगर खाना खिलाना है जो मुझे नहीं पसंद है, तो व्हाट डू यू ट्राई टू डू? यू ट्राई टू वी हैव सम वीडियोस ऑन सोशल मीडिया. यू ट्राई टू टेक समथिंग व्हिच ही कैन स्वेल एंड देन क्विकली चेंज द spoon or a plate, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's exactly the same way.
Amazing. So I have a strategy towards it, or you cannot say strategy, but a framework towards it.
Okay.
So there is a framework known as PPU, right? So that is profiling, probing, and urgency. So in sales, usually we say that, right? So profiling is something where you actually know the customer well.
Perfect.
You know the audience well. You exactly told the same thing, right? You know what is basically their demographic and psychographics. True. And you understand their education background, you understand what experience they have. Then there is probing, right? When you talk about business, when you talk the real core of it,
Correct.
that exactly why are you connecting with this person.
True.
And then there is urgency. If you're doing sales, then you actually give that, hey, you know what, this scholarship is there, take it right
still
away.
There. Correct.
So, and if it is not urgency, then we network. Basically, not today the person will be bonding with you, but
True.
tomorrow he'll be coming back.
Correct.
And this is how we met, right? So we met after almost 2 months now.
True.
So it takes usually around 3 weeks to 4 weeks, but you actually connect with that person if you really follow this framework. So now, I mean, the next question.
No, but I like this, the way you said PPU or PPN. Of course, I think the terminology has been different, but, in the mind, it's the same thing.
True.
So, great.
Yeah, amazing. So, my next question, right? You are a public speaker and you are really influential. I mean, you are really influential, right? So want to know from you, like when you go on stage, right? Uh, how many people, in the audience exactly, believes what you say? And how do you understand that while you speak, right? Because when you go on stage as a public speaker, the first thing is like, यार 200 people एक साथ है,
Correct.
अब मैं क्या बोलूँगा, मैं स्टैमर करूँगा, मैं सब कुछ करूँगा. So how do you overcome that fear and then go full-fledged with energy and enthusiasm? So want to know about that too.
So I think, as I said, the first thing ever is always the first address. The way we say, first impression is last impression. So how do you start? Basic rule of any public speaking has always been, you start with something very catchy to get an attention of the audience. Possibly, I've always believed, when you walk to the stage and the crowd could be 50 or 500 or 5,000, only 50%, even less than 50% attention would be there to who the person got changed from one to other.
True.
Right? Very typically. Now, how do you convert the remaining 50%? And it's possibly still possible. I think that 100% attention could be, to you, of how catchy words or catchy maybe a quote do you start at the starting.
Okay.
Instead of greeting them with a generic way of doing things. I believe that's number one. Number two, how unexpected things that you could do.
Okay.
If you do something an expected way of maybe like another speaker or what an audience is expecting over there, possibly 50 to 60% ka attention jayega, but not 100%. So I think the best way is at different place, what is a general expectation? As we said, pulse of the audience, hum jaan rahe hain, kahin ja rahe hain, wahan ke coordinators, managers ka, we started understanding what they're expecting.
Exactly.
And in the start, you do something different.
Okay.
So when you do something way different, people look at you and then you get an attention.
Wow.
But this, of course, this strategy is little, it could go either way.
True.
So it's just that you have to mold it then so that either it will go, all in or all out. So once you do that, you need to get back to getting all of them to you. So I think that is something, and I've always believed, anyone, not just me, the moment you start talking sense,
True.
everybody listens.
Yeah.
The moment you start talking something for them, they're going to listen. If in the start you're only going to talk about yourself, about your introduction, okay, I have done this, I have been here. Of course, after a point in time, the audience will lose.
Okay.
And to bring them from towards what is in it for them is going to be difficult.
Yeah.
So I told you earlier as well, instead of what is in it for me, if I could talk about what is in it for them.
You. Okay.
So I think that is something I've always believed, and that's the way an audience could to you, even to the not just 90 but 100%.
That's a really great take from this. And अभी मुझे, like as you said, कि आप कोर्ट से चालू करते हो, तो मुझे अगर कोई भी presentation देना है stage पे, so I want to overcome the power of, like, let's say I don't want to stammer, I don't want to कि मैं वहाँ जाके I really mess it up.
Correct.
So how do you build yourself? Like how do you make sure that you are confident enough to go on stage? How do you train yourself?
So I think for me it's been over the years. So anybody who's starting off now, possibly maybe taking 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, you continuously prepare yourself in terms of maybe writing a content, go and speak in front of people or in front of a camera. I think that is something you build up. For me, the journey has been right since I think I was like 4-5 years old, school time, those smaller speeches on normal day in the school, learn by heart. So I think there was a time when even to learn by heart a 2-page speech was a difficult task because you didn't want to use the paper. However, as you grew, it started automatically कि भाई चीज़ें आपको पता है, content आपके दिमाग में है, आपको सिर्फ ज़बान तक लाना है, तो आप वो चीज़ें बोल रहे हो. So I think पहली चीज़ है, it's always आत्मविश्वास, self-belief. If you self-believe yourself that you could do this on stage, I think the other 50% takes care.
Got it.
So I think it starts from self-belief. The second is most important is the preparation level. How well prepared you are. अगर आप हमेशा सेल्फ बिलीफ पे कहोगे और फिर प्रिपेयर नहीं करोगे ना, तो बट नेचुरली फंबल होने के चांसेस हो जाते हैं. काफ़ी बार वो ऐसा होता है कि आपको लगता है अरे मैं कर लूँगा, फिर आपने प्रिपेयर नहीं करा, तो चीज़ें डिफिकल्ट जा सकती है. तो आई थिंक टू द कोर हैविंग कि आपको क्या बोलना है, क्या करना है, दैट इज समथिंग. सो रिहर्सल, द लास्ट वन, रिहर्सल ऑफ एनीथिंग इज ऑलवेज गोइंग टू बी इंपॉर्टेंट. फिर वो आप लोगों के सामने, एक स्मॉल ऑडियंस के सामने करो या मे बी एक कैमरा के सामने शूट करके करो. आई थिंक अर्लियर टाइम्स व्हेन वी डिडंट हैव कैमराज, आज everybody of us will have a good mobile, good camera, but I think 15-20 years back, there was no all of these. We would rehearse in front of, maybe family members, ya to maybe in front of a mirror or anything of that sort.
Mhm.
So I think that is how you build up so
True.
that you are confident on stage, you look confident on stage.
Great. So how did I start this journey is
Yes.
basically, everybody says read book, read book, read book.
Correct.
And I learned a pattern, like not every time you need to read books,
Perfect.
but there are learning patterns, right?
Yes.
You can read books. आप obviously कोई भी language अगर आपको सीखनी है, आप वो book read करो, वो language की book read करो. It can be, fiction or non-fiction. दूसरा है कि आप वीडियो से लर्न करो. So
Perfect.
there are so many freelancers जो मुझे पता है,
Yes.
जो actually YouTube से सीख रहे हैं.
Correct.
Right? And तीसरा है where you listen. So there are audio books which are come in. So ये तीनों चीज़ पे अगर आप फोकस करते हो और आप एक ही पैटर्न पे और एक ही चीज़ बार बार करते हो,
Yes.
राइट, तो आप वो परफेक्टली कर लेते हो, राइट.
Correct.
सो दिस इज हाउ आई स्टार्टेड माई जर्नी विद, आई थिंक माई मेंटोर जिन्होंने मुझे बोला था, यश अगर बुक तू रीड नहीं कर पा रहा है तो तू पहले वीडियो से चालू कर.
True.
और मैंने वीडियो से चालू किया. नाउ आई कैन रीड लाइक बुक्स, राइट.
That's exactly. So जैसे आपने कहा कि see earlier possibly इतने साधन नहीं थे कि मैं इधर से. Now today you have an option कि आप अच्छे से रीड कर सकते हो, तो you use a book. If you can listen, use an audio.
Right.
You can watch and enjoy. You possibly take a video. So I think that's the best way. Multiple sources are available.
Amazing. So now, like, the topic of today would be like AI, right?
Okay.
And I want to understand from you because there is a new curriculum which has come to the CA. I mean, if you want to apply for CA, then there is a new curriculum, right? So first, I want to understand कि curriculum में क्या changes है and how CA community is dealing with it.
Correct.
Then I want to obviously talk about how AI is going to be included in that curriculum.
Okay.
So if you can go ahead. and
Sure.
talk about
So
that.
no, I think I'll brief you the major changes in the CA curriculum that has come up since 1st July 2023. So majorly पहले 3 साल की आर्टिकलशिप होती थी. There is something known as ड्यूरिंग पढ़ाई आप ट्रेनिंग करते हो, उसको हम सी आर्टिकलशिप कहते हैं. तो पहले 3 इयर्स की थी, अब वो 2 साल की कर दी गई है. सो 3 इयर्स के बदले 2 इयर्स कर दिए, सो दैट मे बी बिकॉज 3 इयर्स में क्या है, लीव्स एवरीथिंग वो होते थे, तो वो सब कट शॉर्ट करके उन्होंने कहा कि 2 साल की कंटिन्यूस ट्रेनिंग करो, सो दैट बिकम्स बेटर फॉर स्टूडेंट एंड जहाँ पे वो आर्टिकलशिप कर रहे हैं सी ए ऑफिसर्स में, उनके लिए भी बेटर है. The other major change, I'm talking about major changes apart from these smaller ones. Major changes have been across, जैसे CA में, CA के अंदर फाउंडेशन, इंटर और फाइनल 3 लेवल्स ऑफ एग्जाम्स होते हैं. तो इंटर एंड फाइनल में सारे सब्जेक्ट्स में 70% सब्जेक्टिव एंड 30% ऑब्जेक्टिव कर दिए क्वेश्चंस. पहले ऐसे नहीं था. पहले तो सब में सब्जेक्टिव ही था, फिर सम इयर्स बैक कुछ पेपर्स में थोड़ा सब्जेक्टिव थोड़ा ऑब्जेक्टिव था. अभी इन दिस न्यू करिकुलम इन ऑल द पेपर्स, फिर वो प्रैक्टिकल पेपर हो या थियोरी पेपर हो, 70 मार्क्स सब्जेक्टिव क्वेश्चंस आएंगे, 30 मार्क्स ऑब्जेक्टिव आएंगे. आई थिंक अ वेरी गुड चेंज इन दिस इज गोइंग टू बी, बिकॉज हम हमेशा कहते हैं कि समझ में आना चाहिए, उसके लिए डेप्थ इज इंपॉर्टेंट. सो आई थिंक व्हेन यू आंसर एन ऑब्जेक्टिव क्वेश्चन ABCD, इट इज़ वेरी एसेंशियल कि आपको समझा है कि नहीं, बिकॉज वो केस होने वाला है, केसेस से बिल्ड होने वाला है. सो दैट इज़ अ वेरी गुड मूव. अगेन सेम एन आर्टिकलशिप जो 3 ईयर्स से 2 ईयर्स करी हुए, एक फुल फोकस्ड आप 2 इयर्स ऑफ आर्टिकलशिप में दो, तभी कोई दूसरी लीव्स नहीं, मल्टीपल जो ट्रेनिंग्स होते हैं वो सारे इंस्टीट्यूट ने कहा आप 2 साल की इंटर्नशिप कर लो, उसके बाद वो सारी ट्रेनिंग्स करो, टेक अ 6 months ब्रेक आफ्टर दैट एंड फिर यू बिकम एन एलिजिबल फॉर CA फाइनल एग्जाम. सो आपके पास पढ़ाई के लिए भी समय है, आर्टिकलशिप के लिए भी समय, सो देर इज नो कि भाई सब साथ में कर रहे हो और चीज़ें थोड़ी मिसमैनेज हो रही है. सो दैट बिकम्स एन मेजर चेंज. अनदर, पहले 8 सब्जेक्ट्स थे CA इंटर और CA फाइनल में, अभी 6 सब्जेक्ट्स कर दिए. तो CA इंटर में भी 6 सब्जेक्ट्स हैं, CA फाइनल में भी 6 सब्जेक्ट्स हैं. तो आप सोचोगे ये 2 और 2 4 सब्जेक्ट निकाल दिए क्या? नॉट रियली. दे हैव बीन, देयर करिकुलम इज लिटिल इंटरट्वीन्ड विद द अदर मे बी सब्जेक्ट्स, एंड देयर इज अनदर समथिंग नोन एज ऑनलाइन मॉड्यूल्स इज व्हाट इंस्टीट्यूट हैज गॉटन, जिनका पढ़ाई भी ऑनलाइन होगा एंड एग्जाम्स भी ऑनलाइन ही होगी. So there are 4 papers in that. However, in 4 papers का रिजल्ट फाइनल के साथ मार्कशीट में नहीं जाएगा, but this entire thing you will study on computer, you have your own login and everything, and थोड़ा पढ़ के you keep on giving objective answer, which is going to be more focused on आपको चीज़ें समझ में आ रही है क्या नहीं. So I think the entire that is going to be built on the AI model. That's number 1. Every subject में technology is twinned in. So we had a separate subject in inter information technology, and अलग से पहले CA फाइनल में भी इंफॉर्मेशन सिस्टम्स का एक अलग सब्जेक्ट होता था, बट इंस्टीट्यूट ने सोचा ये अलग सब्जेक्ट क्यों करो, बिकॉज टुडे आज के ज़माने में वी सी टेक्नोलॉजी हैज़ been there in everything. So now every subject has something or the other of technology. That is how the entire curriculum they have put in.
Wow. So, I mean, the topic of an hour, could AI replace CA,
Okay.
right? Chartered accountant. So
Okay.
we want to talk about that.
ठीक है.
And मुझे ये जानना है, and I know for a fact कि हमें वो bubble burst करना है, because
Correct.
everybody is really scared.
True.
And to the viewers who are viewing this, we really want to make sure कि you know AI एक ऐसी चीज़ है जिसके साथ चलना है, जिससे डरना नहीं है, और CAs, right, वो कैसे AI को like AI से unable हो रहे हैं,
Correct.
rather than getting replaced by AI.
Okay.
So if you can throw some light on that.
Sure. Can AI replace CA? So I think I'll start from something. We all of them are replaceable, and at the same time, nobody is irreplaceable. Way back when computers came in, possibly a lot of things. Let's start with, since it's about CA, books of accounts, making balance sheets, making accounts was all manual, right? People, or even chartered accountants, or every accountants, or every company would write by a pen and a paper in those entire registers, make accounts, maybe take like 1 month to tally and everything. Where we look at financial year in India is April to March. Computers came in, and all of those systems came in, softwares came in, and all of those started become digitized. Today, the moment 31st March, we finish the entry, and we can get the accounts next day or on the 31st March after 12, right? Typically, or maybe on the 1st April. Did anybody replace anyone? Typically, some jobs maybe, because possibly earlier, वो बैलेंस शीट बनाने में शायद 10 लोग लगते थे, अब बिकॉज ऑफ द सिस्टम वो एक ही बंदा बना रहा है.
True.
But ideally, those 9 people did not lose their jobs. They started doing something revolving to that, is what I have believed. Today, let's say an example, where when I did my CA internship, or earlier, we used to file, we all file returns, right? ITR, income tax return. तो हम, there are ITR forms होते थे, जो हम मैन्युअली भरते थे, हाथ से जाते थे इनकम टैक्स ऑफिस में, जाके लाइन में खड़े रह के सबमिट करते थे. आज वो नहीं करना पड़ता, करेक्ट? वी फिल इट इन द सिस्टम एंड एवरीथिंग. वो रात को 12 बजे भी आप सबमिट कर सकते हो, करेक्ट? बिकॉज ऑनलाइन उस टाइम के पहले कर रहे हो, बिफोर द लास्ट डेट. डिड दैट मीन दैट देयर आर चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट्स हु लॉस्ट देयर जॉब? Not really. Now what happens is, typically whenever I think a new thing comes up, in fact more opportunities get created, because every person, as we are humans, we always keep looking something for new, right? हमको नई चीजें, अगर मैं आपको बोलूँ आपको सेम बुक बार बार पढ़नी है, what is the maximum time that you could read that book?
No, I don't know. I mean, one time.
One time, exactly my point, right? I mean, by God's grace, I got done my CA in first attempt, because the only thing was in my mind is, second time I cannot read this.
True.
So हम सेम चीज़ें बार बार नहीं कर सकते. पहली बार कर लेंगे, दूसरी बार कर लेंगे, तीसरी बार कर लेंगे. But after a point in time, we always try to find something new.
We evolve.
We evolve, right? That's exactly in this also. The moment there is AI, I'll give you another example, bank reconciliation statements, right? हमें सिखाया गया था, या हमारे 11-12 स्टैंड के करिकुलम में होता है, वो एंट्रीज दी हुई है हमें, वी टेक एंड डू इट. इन ऑफिसेस पहले भी हमारे पास शीट्स आ जाती थी, बैंक का स्टेटमेंट आ जाता है, हम इससे प्रिंट आउट ले लेते, हम एक्चुअली मैन्युअली करते थे. व्हाट हैपेंस टुडे इन मोस्ट कंपनीज, थैंक्स टू सॉफ्टवेयर, पहले 1000 लाइन आइटम्स को भी कितना, टुडे इन इवन लाइक सेकेंड्स, राइट? The system software is going to give me reconciliation statement that these are the entries which are not reconciled for thousands of line items.
Right.
Now, what happened? Did somebody got replaced? Not really, right? We'll always need people to use these softwares. Maybe what happens is we train the others to use these softwares, and what happens to build these softwares. So I think the moment there is something different, there are more opportunities get created, and more people could do more work, is what I have always believed. True. It's again, the way we look at the things, it all depends on. So I think with an artificial intelligence coming in, a lot of new opportunities are getting created for everybody, including of course chartered accountants, because there are a lot of opportunities, the way different jobs could be done earlier one job could be done in one way.
Right.
With an AI, that one job could be done in multiple ways. Now with that multiple ways, what happens is different people try out different ways. The moment that different ways are created, there is competition. The moment there is competition, there is of course more work opportunity, and then there is collaboration afterwards.
Right.
So I think that is something is what I believe.
Right. I'll tell you. I mean, recently, right?
Yeah.
Meri behan CA.
Okay.
And her name is CA Nishita, right? So what happened recently? I had a amazing, healthy debate with her.
Correct.
I am coming from a AI fraternity. She's coming from CA. Okay.
Correct.
And what happened eventually when I went to her, and I really did not had any knowledge regarding the taxation and everything till that time, right? When I went to her, she's in the industry from like 12 years now, and she's practicing. So when I went to her, she told me, Yash, you know what? Things are changing. Definitely, AI is going to help. So I told her, Nishita, AI is going to replace CA.
Correct.
She was like, hey, I mean, how can you say that? I was like, I'm out of job. I was like, no. See, I mean, the perspective here was, when I went to the depth of it, she told me, Yash, the roles are changing.
Correct.
And eventually, earlier, I had 12 articles, right?
Yes.
Which we say, 12 articles. But, and they were actually doing the entries manually or from some automation tools or something like that.
True.
But eventually, what happens is, everything comes to me for audit.
Yes.
And nothing can be proceed because when you go to a client, right, the client nature of business is going to change.
Correct.
And the client can be a private limited, sole proprietor, or कुछ भी हो सकता है, right? Nature of the business बदलेगा. Accounting standards same रहेंगे. But nature बदलेगा. तो मैंने उसको बोला कि मैं एक ऐसा AI bot बना देता हूँ जो basically accounting standards को learn कर लेगा और फिर consultancy वो खुद ही दे देगा. Then तुम्हारी क्या ज़रूरत है?
Correct.
She gave me a very, a beauty answer, right? So she told me very clearly, Yash, you know what? Try it out. The accounting standards in India changes very fast, right? And even GST, the articles are changing, I think, every quarterly, right? So it is really difficult. It is not impossible, but yes, you need to train the AI.
Correct.
And this is where the new role comes for the CA.
Perfect.
Where, they will either train the AI to make sure the accounts are done easy, like in an easy way, or, they audit it. So this was the whole output of it. And I told her, you are right about it. But I want to, again, this is the question to her and this is the question to you.
Okay.
Then why are CAs going for content creation?
Okay.
I mean, I've seen recently, there are so many CAs entering into content creation. So I just wanted to know, is it because AI is entered, or is it because that CAs are really amazing to do multitask, right? They are multitask and they are able to generate revenue.
So as I said, with every, we look at maybe 5 odd years, there are new opportunities which keep coming. I'll go back to where cinemas, because we're talking about content creation, I'll go back to cinemas where we would go to theaters to watch movies, right? There came a time where television was there, but television पे हम mainly क्या देखते थे? हम पुरानी movies देख रहे, वो 2 channels आती थी, correct है? Cricket matches देख रहे, news देख रहे, then the new television, channels and so many channels. Let's talk from news channels. पहले news आती थी वो 1 घंटे के लिए, अब न्यूज़ चैनल हो गई 24 आवर्स के लिए. द मोमेंट न्यूज़ चैनल 24 आवर्स के लिए हुई, ठीक है, हुआ क्या? पहले एक ही न्यूज़ चैनल थी, अब 100 न्यूज़ चैनल हो गई. अब 100 न्यूज़ चैनल हुई, 24 आवर्स चल रही है, तो क्या हो गया? ज़्यादा लोग लगने लगे. As I told you, more people are needed and opportunities get created.
Right.
Television, way back I think in 2000, 2001, the entire, all the television serials for that matter, right? All the live shows got a boost. What happened with that? More actors, from different places across India, maybe across country, got work. And, तो अभी नया serial बन रहा है, तो of course, उनके related के लोग, everybody needed only, more opportunities got created. Same goes way back if we look at in the last very recent years, the content creation, because thanks to the net, internet, the entire technology, we've got everything on our hand in mobile, correct? So the moment, what is that? It's an opportunity created.
True.
So for every chartered accountant, we look at CAs also. Primarily earlier CAs were, because the course curriculum is such, there were not many ways where you could go and talk, you could do, because वो course ऐसा है कि आप पढ़ रहे हो. However, largely if we look at today's chartered accountant students, are amazing in everything other thing as well apart from studies. Like yesterday, which I had an event, there were these CS ones, we had a cultural evening as well. And I know he's become a chartered accountant. He could sing well, he could dance well, he could act well.
Wow.
And chartered accountant in first attempt also. I mean, so all that I'm saying is not just for CAs, but across otherwise also people like to do. And because there are opportunities, they are okay to do many things.
True.
Earlier क्या होता था, they like to do, but फिर उतनी opportunities नहीं होती थी. So आज अगर मैं दिख रहा हूँ यहाँ opportunity है, मेरे पास content भी है जो मैं बोल सकता हूँ और मैं अच्छा communicate भी कर सकता हूँ, तो why would I not want to get into?
Right.
However, I've always believed for anything, एक होता है आप starting में hobby की तरह करते हो, कोई भी चीज़ हो, उस hobby से next moves towards fame. That's a very natural way of doing things. भले आप फिर स्कूल में हो, स्कूल में आप अगर कहीं स्टेज पे कुछ कर रहे हो तो एज अ हॉबी करा, फिर पीपल नो अबाउट यू, द फेम गेट्स. उसके बाद अगर मोस्ट इम्पोर्टेंट वो आप पे डिपेंड करता है कि आप उसको बिजनेस तक लेके जा रहे हो या नहीं.
True.
तो अगर आपको एज अ बिजनेस तक लेके जा रहे हो, यू विल हैव टू बिल्ड दैट एंटायर मॉडल, अदरवाइज इट गेट्स रेस्ट्रिक्टेड टुवर्ड्स फेम. कि आप कुछ कुछ कर रहे हो, लोग आपको जान रहे हैं, बट उसको आपको पूरा बिजनेस मॉडल बनाना है, तो आपको पूरी वो एज एन एंटरप्रेन्योर चीजें शुरुआत द वे यू स्टार्टेड, एंड वेरी ग्लैड टू नो. सो आई थिंक अ लॉट ऑफ CAs आर ट्राइंग टू गेट इनटू कंटेंट क्रिएशन बिकॉज दे नो दैट दिस इज एन अपॉर्चुनिटी एंड दे वुड लव टू डू दैट. बट द एंटायर विच विल सर्वाइव, आई थिंक इन द एंड, इज which builds the entire
Right.
in
No,
that
I'll tell
entire.
you in easy words.
Yeah.
I think CAs are trying to build the distribution over social medias, right? And they are trying to, capture the opportunities,
Correct.
grab it immediately. And I'm really happy because the fact, the intellectual guy, I mean, I always believe that CAs are very intellectual, right? And
आपके घर पे
no,
CA है तो I can
my
so,
whole
you know.
family is CA. My whole
Is
family
it?
is CA. Yeah, I've been surrounded around CAs.
And I didn't know them, but I met you and them.
Yeah. So, and I told her, like, start with the content journey and the way you guys can deliver content and it is value add to the audience. It's really going to be another thing. So it is a clear message to all the CA aspirants. You can definitely, achieve that CA as a degree, but eventually you can start your journey with personal branding, right? And once your personal brand is created, your distribution comes in and your client network comes in.
Correct.
And this is what I understood from.
नहीं एब्सोल्युटली वो वही हो जाता है ना, आप कोई भी डिग्री कर लो, उसके बाद आपको क्या करना है, बिकॉज आप पढ़ तो सब कुछ रहे हो, उसके बाद आपको किस वे में जाना है वो आपको चूज करना है. सो टुडे इन टर्म्स ऑफ कंटेंट क्रिएशन भी, इफ यू स्टार्ट लाइकिंग इट, कि आपको मजा आ रहा है, यू वुड वांट टू परस्यू दैट. इट्स एन अमेजिंग वे. देयर आर लॉट ऑफ अपॉर्चुनिटीज अवेलेबल. सो ऑफ कोर्स एवरी CA aspirants who are chartered accountants also, if you like to do it as a full time this thing, why not?
Right. Amazing. So I mean, आप Shark Tank देखते हो? Sure, right? So I want to know, जब भी Shark Tank इंडिया में कोई जा रहा है, right? And they have a very I mean, I would say very glorified valuation, right? And then when Shark asks कि आपका CA कौन है, right? And then this, because they say that मेरे CA ने बोला ये करना है, तो इसके लिए मेरा valuation इतना होना चाहिए. So I want to actually know from you, like when the CA, like when they ask also, and I've seen from investment point of view, because we are building a tool into investments, right? A AI tool into investments. So this is where, investors are really right. They really want to ask कि आपका valuation आप कैसे लेके आए यहाँ तक. सामने से आंसर आता है कि हमें कुछ नहीं पता, हमारे CA को पता है.
Correct.
तो I want to understand कि CA को कैसे पता चल रहा है कि and what are the ways to understand the valuation of a company.
Correct. No, so I think, see, the entire valuation, of course, there is a method how do you calculate a valuation of any company, correct? Which a chartered accountant studies in its curriculum.
Right.
When he's been studying CA. So the moment you start analyzing balance sheets, आपका पुराना net profits कितना है, everything, और आगे आप क्या करने वाले हो. And of course, valuation is something based on, if it's a new company, valuation is going to be based on future projects and prospects, right? So by that formula, you try to calculate the valuation, of course. Sometimes, but naturally, you cannot know all the uncertainties which is going to happen ahead, right? So we'll have to discount that. And depending how the economy is moving, of course, if the economy moving fast, of course, you will be also be able to move fast with that as compared to if the economy is moving slow. So with all that taken into effect, I think an valuation, a started accountant is going to, because of course he's a finance trained guy, he'll try to find a valuation. But of course, for every entrepreneur, it is a very important कि CA ने अगर बता दिया है तो उनको भी समझना चाहिए कि वो आया कैसे.
Right.
You may not get into in depth क्या चाहिए, फॉर्मूला क्या है, everything, but how it is, so that anywhere somebody asks, वो प्रेजेंट कर पा रहे हैं. सेकंड, बिकॉज वो कहीं जा रहे हैं तो एज एन एंटरप्रेन्योर वो अपने सीए को भी साथ में नहीं लेके जाने वाले हैं हर जगह. सो इट इज इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर देम टू अंडरस्टैंड कि वो कैसे आए, बिकॉज फाइनली बिजनेस उनका है. सो आई थिंक दैट इज वेरी एसेंशियल फॉर देम टू नो कि वैल्यूएशन के.
But going in depth for that, like, does CA has any SOPs or I don't know, like, do they follow any procedure to come to a valuation?
Of course,
कुछ
no?
files होती है when I don't know, like projection करने के 3 साल
Correct.
5 साल करने के लिए, so they would be having some, like, the way standard
So there are
is
valuation
right?
standards.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's why I said, no, the way there are accounting standards, everything.
Mhm.
So there is a SOP, there is a formula of how can you find a valuation of a company or valuation of a business or valuation of anybody. So definitely yes. So in that manner, a chartered accountant is going to calculate.
Okay, and it
So
can be subjective to each and every CA, right?
Not really subjective, because there are set processes, right? It's a formula based, what all things you look in. So it cannot be subjective. However, but what happens is with smaller companies, it could be just one formula and done, right? But for bigger companies, there are many things that you take into the picture. So then it could little vary, not otherwise it could not be subjective.
Oh, okay. So आप event management में हो,
Yeah.
आप CA हो, आप public speaker हो, and now I think you will be taking many other opportunities, right? तो मुझे बहुत clearly, पहले तो I want to know about your venture, what exactly it is, and आप कैसे multitasking कर रहे हो? मेरे को ये answer actually में जानना है, because then I also want to, explore different 100 opportunities. So time management is a skill. तो आप time management पे, if you want to give me 2 tips,
Okay.
right? So how would you?
So I think doing multiple things is always being guided by scheduling. So the way time management is, we prioritize and schedule things. But naturally काफ़ी बार काफ़ी चीज़ें हम करना चाहते हैं but नहीं कर सकते because of schedule accordingly. So I think the first thing is we schedule everything. It could be a manual diary or it could be an AI based diary.
True.
which could prompt you कि ये time पे आपको ये करना है. So I think that is number one tip possibly. Number two, it could be of how which is in your own mind priority कि ये आपको चीज़ें पहले करनी है, या तो urgency of the work, the way we do an important urgent matrix, the way which is going to be specifically पहले urgent. जैसे कि an example, अगर मैं पढ़ा रहा हूँ, I know ये वीक में एग्जाम्स चल रहे हैं, सो आई नो रात को 2 बजे भी फ़ोन आ सकता है किसी स्टूडेंट का, विच आई नो एंड आई शुड पिक अप, very simply put. But I know something which is not. So when somebody calls me and के sir ये है, and I ask him, is it very urgent? They're like, no. So I'm like, just message me and keep, I'll reply.
Right.
So then while traveling, or so I'm always going to use my time possibly when I'm traveling and every time. So I try to clear my messages during my travel time and accordingly. So I'll give you a very example. So I don't drive or ride a bike. So if I have to move from my house to station, it's going to be taking me 10 minutes, but my brother does,
Right.
because he likes to do that. I don't have that liking, and he'll be like, "Arey 10 minute ke liye bike." I'm like, in that 10 minutes, while I take an auto or any cab, I will use my time to finish off my chats or calls or anything. So I think that is how I manage my
Wow.
time. So we'll always have to think of which is a priority. For me, a priority is not to enjoy the 10-minute ride, but to finish off my other duties. So I think that is how I do it.
I'm telling you, you are lying to me because he would be using some AI and he's saving a lot of time to
Wish I could do.
basically-
Wish I could do. Please tell me. I would love to do it, because at a point in time, it gets in too many things. Okay, ये करना है pending. Please tell me an AI.
No, eventually I'll tell you one of the tool. I mean, I would also ask you कि as a CA, right? क्या AI tools use कर सकते हो? But
Okay.
I mean, you want to go first, you go with that. Then I'll give you some of my knowledge that how can a CA, right? Or how can anybody can save a lot of time.
Correct.
Can also make sure that the work is basically prioritized according to the schedule.
Yes.
And third, how can you get the maximum productivity with minimum inputs, right? So you want to go first? Yeah.
So with every chartered accountant, maybe somebody into practice, they use a lot of tools and softwares, AI-based tools and softwares to guide their work, which saves their time. Which I give you an example of an income tax return earlier, right? Today, most of the things are pre-filled. कि last year आपने भरा था, but in a manual क्या होता था, next year आपको वापस भरनी है. But today, all those things जो common होने वाला है, जो static information है, वो pre-filled होने वाला, आपका समय बच रहा है.
Right.
So a lot of CAs use that. I think that is something which is core. But any more tips, I'd be more than happy because
so
you are an AI person.
I just taught my sister also yesterday.
Okay.
So in GPT, right? In Chat GPT specifically, if you know about it, I'm very sure you know about it. So you can train bots now.
Okay.
And you can train bots, or you can say train GPTs, right? So I told her, the first question whenever you go to a client, you basically आप क्या करते हो? आप एक क्वेश्चनर लेके जाते हो, आप क्वेश्चंस करते हो कि आपका नेचर ऑफ बिजनेस क्या है, एसेट्स क्या है, स्टॉक क्या है, वी बेसिकली डिफरेंशिएट, राइट? तो मैंने उसको बोला कि एक काम कर, ये ले जीपीटी, rather than repeating the same process again and again, we'll create a bot.
Correct.
Okay, आप categorize कर लो, service based, product based, and maybe any type of other categories of the business. हर एक कैटेगरी का आप एक जीपीटी बना सकते हो.
Perfect.
ठीक है, और वो जीपीटी में आप एक क्वेश्चन है. सो द फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन GPT will ask your client will be like, whenever you prompt the GPT कि hey, he is maybe a course provider,
Okay.
or he is a, let's say, a manufacturer, right? वो उस हिसाब से वो क्वेश्चन बना देगा.
Okay.
Right, which helps the CA to understand the client more better.
Okay.
And not only the CA, that can be shared with your team also.
Team as well.
Right, so वो help कर देगा कि client क्या है.
Perfect.
सेकेंड, अकाउंट्स में अगर आप कोई भी बैलेंस शीट और P&L लेते हो, सो यू कैन एक्चुअली पुट द फाइल्स इनटू द जीपीटी, राइट? एंड टेल जीपीटी कि ये क्लाइंट है अपना, ये उसका नेचर है, ये क्वेश्चनर का जो हमने आंसर्स लिखे हैं,
करेक्ट,
राइट, वो आप डाल दो जीपीटी में और बोलो कि अब आप बिहेव करो कि आप एक क्लाइंट हो और आपको अभी जो भी क्वेश्चंस है, मतलब रिलेटेड टू मे बी एनी, लाइक लेट्स एज अ सीए आई हैव अ यूजुअली सस्पेंस एंट्री होती है, राइट?
करेक्ट.
और आप सीए चेस करते रहते हैं क्लाइंट्स को कि आप ये दो हमें,
Correct.
और आधा टाइम तो क्लाइंट्स को नहीं पता कि हमें देना क्या है, राइट? सो that can be processed very smoothly using GPT, and you can train the bots.
Correct.
I will definitely would love to
More than happy.
show you how to do it.
Please.
But after that you train the bot.
Correct.
जो आपका maybe 6 hours 7 hours का job है, वो it's a matter of 20 to 30 minutes,
Okay.
right? And definitely I'm not going to say that it will replace the total time, but it will basically help you to, like, at then आपका काम रहेगा audit करना.
Correct.
Right? So that's one way.
No, definitely. I think if we can build up that,
Right.
More than happy to.
Yeah. And second is coming to your compliances and all also, we can actually feed the whole income tax act, or you can say any accounting standards into the GPT. And उसको बोलना है ये इंडिया का है और आपको इफेक्ट देना है. So अब क्या और एक चीज़ होती है कि हर एक केस स्टडीज में अलग अलग आंसर्स आते हैं, राइट? एंड आपको एज अ कंसल्टेंट आपको मैं 5 आंसर्स दूंगा, आपको सिलेक्ट करना है एज अ सीए कि कौन सा चाहिए.
करेक्ट.
सो यू कैन डू दैट आल्सो. एंड देयर इज अ टूल नोन एज notion.ai or notion.io right now. So basically it helps you to manage your work in a very beautiful way. Right? It's a tool which can actually help you to schedule not your calendar, but eventually it's a productivity tool. So what you can do is you can have project templates. There are templates fed into it. And आप जो 100 चीज़ें कर रहे हो गूगल ड्राइव पे, अगर आप गूगल ड्राइव गूगल वर्कस्पेस यूज़ कर रहे हो, तो आप वो सब कुछ मिला के एक ही चीज़ पे है, वो है नोशन.
Okay.
It's a platform and it is integrated.
Notion.ai.
Yeah, notion.io.
IO.
So now it is integrated with more 120 applications. तो अगर आप वेबसाइट डेवलपर हो तो Figma भी integrated है, UI UX डिजाइनर हो तो Figma भी integrated है. आपके पास जो भी एप्लीकेशन है जो आप बाहर यूज कर रहे हो, राइट, वो इंटीग्रेटेड है नोशन पे. सो इट एक्चुअली सेव्स लॉट ऑफ टाइम एंड इट इज ऑब्वियसली इट्स टीम कैन आल्सो बी ऑन दैट प्लेटफॉर्म. So we are using as our company, and our company is totally like, we have been very clear, we'll go very very like not mass hiring and mass
AI way.
yeah. I mean, mass hiring and mass firing does not work for me.
Correct.
It's going to be the people who are AI enthusiast, AI driven, and they know how to automate work, save time for my clients, save time for themselves. They can roam and chill. That's where I am building the company towards. So yeah, that's something which I would definitely advise all the CAs to go for. And from you, if you have any last tips to all the aspiring CAs, right, that how can they leverage AI and how can they go, like, I mean, how can they move hand to hand with the AI, right? So how can they
Correct.
proceed their journey now, and eventually where they can get this?
True.
Because they know what is the problem, they don't know where the solution is.
True.
So if you can give a heads
No,
up.
I think for every CA aspirant, as we are aware, the next generation, the entire thing is going to be about technology, AI. So very essentially, that how start in together everything that somebody studies or learns today, how technology can be intertwined into that is something that every CA student should learn. I think very essentially. वो पहले क्या था ना, पहले we were not technology savvy earlier, but today you use technology. Like earlier we used to read and study from books. Today everybody studies online, everything, right? So we've come from that way to this way. So I think automatically when somebody is doing this, I think for every aspirant, I'm going to say is that start learning new things, because the moment you learn new things, you're automatically getting used to. If you keep in a frame of mind that this is something that scares you, you cannot do possibly, I think that is a problem. So the moment you build your mind that this is something, accept, you put yourself in an acceptable situation and then start building upon, you start automatically learning and you give your best, is what I believe.
Wow. So this is it, guys. We have the future of India, and I'm telling you that wherever you need guidance regarding your startups, regarding anything, maybe you're pursuing your CA career or your LLB career also, right? You know whom to contact, you know whom to reach out to, and definitely if you have anything regards to technology, AI, generative AI, you know whom to reach out to. So thank you so much. It has been a great value add to the viewers, and I believe that हम वापस मिलते रहेंगे.
Absolutely.
और ज़्यादा काम और ज़्यादा इन्फ्लुएंस करते रहेंगे in a positive way.
Totally.
Thank you so
totally.
much, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you to watch this show, and I hope आपको ये एपिसोड से बहुत ही ज़्यादा वैल्यूएबल इंसाइट्स मिली होगी. अगर आपको ये कंटेंट बहुत ही ज़्यादा रिलेटेबल लगे, so I want you to share this to one particular person whom you think that ये podcast देख के उसकी लाइफ चेंज हो सकती है. So share this right away and tell me whom I should bring for my next podcast.